What is up? It is Maximus MMA bringing you my last minute predictions for UFC Fight Night. Manel Kape against Kyoji Horiguchi 2. First fight took place outside of the UFC almost 10 years ago, I believe. We're getting a long awaited rematch, I guess you could call it. Here for what I see as a true number one contenders fight for the belt after Joshua Van rematches Alexandre Pantoja. Let's get straight into it. Honestly, really good main event. Manel Kape has been one of those guys that has been on a bit of a tear after he lost to Muhammad Mokaev about a year and 10 months ago. Muhammad Mokaev got cut from the UFC, I believe, after this fight. And then now he's been tearing it up on some lower level promotions. Honestly, one of the biggest what ifs in the UFC. However, this weight class is still going crazy here at flyweight. I mean, Joshua Van, great champion. Pantoja, long-reigning champion, going to get the rematch. Look, Manel Kape has been, just to get back to the topic, on a tear. I mean, he KO'd Bruno Silva in hindsight. Doesn't look that impressive. KO'd Asu Almabayev. Believe that was the first time he ever was finished in his career. And then he KO'd Brandon Royval in the first round just 6 months ago. Taking on Kyoji Horiguchi, who, basically, I got to preface with, he had a long run in the UFC. Okay, many moons ago. Then he went back over to Asia, fought in a lot of promotions over there. Has since come back to the UFC, where he beat Tagir Ulanbekov, who is kind of a Khabib protege, but he's kind of like the runt of the litter, if that makes sense. Not to be disrespectful, but he is. And then you've got Amir Albazi, who... Don't let 17-2 confuse you. Okay, this is Amir Albazi after the neck and back surgery. I forget exactly which one it was. But he looked noticeably stiff when Albazi took on Brandon Moreno. I don't think he's the same guy. I'm not even sure he was ever really that good. So, I see a lot of people rating these Kyoji Horiguchi wins oh, man, he's back in the UFC. He's here to make a run. Look, man, to go from Tagir Ulanbekov and then Amir Albazi to Manel Kape, who's on a 3-fight finish streak, I don't know, man. I mean, it just seems like Horiguchi's getting a lot of love from the community, but man, I mean, they're going to be similar size. Basically, I mean, it's a 5-round fight. I'm taking Manel Kape. Give me Starboy to win. I'm not sure if he finishes this fight. I think he certainly is live. 5 rounds makes it interesting. I do think this will be a very competitive fight, though. Kyoji Horiguchi is no slouch at all. I mean, he's got great skills. He flows extremely well on the feet. I mean, you'll see it in the fight, just the way that he kind of switches stances and goes back and forth between punches and kicks. He looks great out there. Manel Kape arguably is the biggest puncher at this weight class. He's got a lot of momentum. And, do I really think that Horiguchi is just going to, kind of grapple a little bit and then, just leg kick his way to a win over Manel Kape? Not really. I mean, I just think when Manel Kape lands, he's going to land hard. And in their first fight, there wasn't too much grappling, if I remember correct. So give me Manel Kape to win. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he gets it done by knockout. Maybe in the third or fourth round, but not entirely confident on the finish prop there. But I do think Manel Kape is very likely to win this weekend. Then we've got Yon Cutelaba against Navajo Sterling in the co-main event. Look, I will have to preface, I have been an Yon Cutelaba enjoyer for at least the last 5 years. He's honestly one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. That's not in the ranked kind of realm. Obviously, he said he's 18, so just outside of the top 15 right now. The problem with Cutelaba is that he is the definition of a wild man. I mean, he's 9-10 in the UFC, right? I mean, he'll get a good win against, Tanner Bozier after a really rough stretch, and then he'll go out there and look flat against Felipe Lins. Then he comes back out against Ivan Urslan and Ivo Aslan and looks really good. Showed Aslan levels in the grappling. Loses to Bukowskis, but I don't think that's the worst loss in the world, especially because it was a close fight. And then Umar Sy wanted a big upset, where honestly I thought that, Cutelaba was very live. I mean, who had Umar Sy beat? We've got a similar situation here with Navajo Sterling, where Navajo Sterling has proven absolutely nothing. I mean, he's trained to city kickboxing with Adesanya and Hooker and all those guys. Hey, those who know, Manel Kape might give us a bang on the mic related to that. If you know. But hey, back to this fight. Navajo Sterling is kind of a very still this kickboxer. He's very in here, and The thing is, like, if Cutelaba, like the Lins fight, lets Sterling kind of control the pace, I think that Sterling's going to cruise to an easy decision or maybe a later stage finish. But if Cutelaba gets in there, really tries to weigh on the gas tank of Sterling and make this fight just ugly. Dude, Cutelaba's live, man. Now, again, I am a little biased because I'm just a Cutelaba believer. I want to see this guy in the top 15. And I know everybody's been saying, like, look, eventually we're going to fade Navajo Sterling. Maybe this isn't the spot, but because of my belief in Cutelaba, I'm going to pick him in this spot. Give me Cutelaba to win by submission in the first 2 rounds. You know, it's one of those fights where I just think this is much closer than plus 250. I mean, this just seems kind of nuts to me. But again, obviously we've got the blue chip prospect against a guy who's, 500 in the UFC, right? 20 fights in. Give me Cutelaba to win. I like that pick, but admittedly I'm a little bit biased. And then we've got another really good fight, honestly. Christian Rodriguez against Haider Emil. Look, Haider Emil is coming off kind of a rough stretch. He started off his career 11-0. He had a lot of really good wins against Jung Young Lee. That was a crazy knockout. He threw like a 30-punch combination. William Gomis, that was a tough win because Gomis is a tough customer, man, to beat. So to beat him by decision, honestly, is almost more impressive than a knockout. And he lost to Jose Delgado, who's a real prospect, and he lost to Jamal Emmers. I thought that he came back a little bit too quick after that Jose Delgado loss, so I'm really not surprised to see him lose to a veteran like Emmers. C-Rod is the prospect killer. Pretty much if he's not fighting a prospect like Austin Bashi or Raul Ruasas Jr. many years ago, he doesn't win. It's just one of those guys where, like, he's got a lot of talent, but he just hasn't been winning once he gets to, like, that, just outside the rankings guys. I mean, Melquizael Costa beat him. Lost to Andre Fili, Julian Rose. I mean, that's a bad look, man. Yeah, he beat Austin Bashi, but Austin Bashi to me is very overrated. Now, he might develop into a good fighter, but at least if you saw the C-Rod fight, Austin Bashi was all wrestling. He forgot he's in a fist fight. Like, he had dominant position, just never threw a punch. I mean, that's honestly the Bashi thing. I don't really get that. Again, you can tell he's a wrestler because he doesn't punch. And just to get back on it, I don't know, man. I just feel like C-Rod is a fraud. And I love just the willingness to get into the fire of Haider Emil. Look, you can say whatever you want about Haider Emil. You might not think he's that good of a fighter. You cannot say that you don't fully expect Haider Emil to literally go full hurricane on Christian Rodriguez and try to get him out of there. Haider Emil is going to give himself a chance to land a big strike. Whether or not he can remains to be seen. Look, C-Rod is a good fighter. I just can't trust him. And with a guy like Haider Emil, I love guys that are always looking to finish the fight. Against a guy like C-Rod, who, it's really a turning point in his career. I mean, if he wins here, okay, maybe he could, get into the top 15 one day. If he loses here, bro, he may as well just be done in the UFC. I mean, unless they want to give him another prospect, and maybe that prospect can actually beat him. I don't know, man. I got Haider Emil to win pretty confidently. I just think that Haider Emil is going to go in, and now I'm confident just talking about it. Like, Haider Emil, I think, is going to land. And he's a dog. Like, he's the kind of guy where, like, again, you know what you're going to get with Haider Emil. C-Rod, he might show up and look like he has real top 15 potential. He might get knocked out in the first round. Like, really. It's pretty 50-50 to me. So I'm going to take a little swing at Haider Emil here as an underdog. By KO in the first or second round. Then we've got a prospect matchup against a kind of jobber. Not to be disrespectful, but look, Melsik Bagdagarian, all I really remember about this guy was when he got slumped by Gene Silva. I remember that Gene Silva was like minus 100 to like get a knockout. That was the freest money of all time. Gene Silva just absolutely beat the piss out of him. I really don't have much to say about him because, I mean, he doesn't really fight that much recently. I mean, you can see 4 years, 10 months ago was his 5 fights ago, right? I mean, he lost to Kui Labao, who's not in the UFC anymore. Beat Tyler Lutz, who I don't think's in the UFC anymore, right? So, like, we don't really have much to go off of other than him getting his ass beat. Taking on Murtazali Magomedov, people are just going to pick him because of the beard and the last name. And look, I don't blame him, man. Because that's honestly what I'm going to do here. He's a big favorite. I know he got a good win on the Contender Series by knockout. So, yeah, I mean, as a guy that looks to be getting a lot of finishes on the regional scene, I'm going to pick him to finish a guy that last time I saw him got absolutely destroyed. Now, granted, it was against Gene Silva, And to compare Magomedov to Gene Silva at this point without a single UFC fight is pretty nuts. But I still just think Magomedov's going to finish this fight, probably. He's a finisher. And yeah, I mean, he's clearly the A side here. Give me Magomedov to win this fight by knockout in the first 2 rounds. Then, honestly, a fight that got moved down on the card, but one of the ones that I think is the most exciting, at least from a viewership standpoint, with Vinicius Lock Dog Oliveira taking on Andre Touchy-Fili. This is one of those fights where, look, Vinicius Oliveira, a bit of a weight bully, okay, when he was, down at bantamweight. Now he's moving up to featherweight, if I'm not mistaken. I could have that backwards. Point being, though, is that Vinicius Oliveira kind of was a weight bully and just walked guys down. And he had some really good wins. I mean, he beat Bernardo Sopai that really put him on the map. Honestly, one of the KOs of the year. It might even have won KO of the year. It was a nasty flying knee in the closing minute of the fight. I was actually watching it at work. And then Ricky Simone, that was a good win because Ricky Simone at that point was seen as, a decent guy. And like that, again, like top 20 to 30s range. And then we had Said Nurmagomedov, who he beat, which that was a good win as well. And then he beat Kyler Phillips, who, again, I don't rate that too well. But Kyler Phillips was terrified of Oliveira in that fight. Then he went out there in the main event of Fight Night in Apex against Mario Batista. And he really just got outclassed. And unfortunately, like, for Oliveira, that was just going to happen. And hindsight, Mario Batista is so good, dude. Like, a lot of people don't like Mario Batista. I wanted to kill him after what he did to Jose Aldo. Mario, man, we still don't forgive you for that. But yeah, dude, I mean, he's a great fighter. He's very tricky to beat. So I'm not really surprised that such a clean, technical guy who's just not gonna make mistakes like Mario Batista would beat a guy like Vinicius Oliveira, who needs you to make mistakes. He literally has all these erratic movements, hands down at his sides, just swinging and banging, hoping that you make a mistake, and he is very good at capitalizing on it. Andre Fili, look, he makes mistakes. I mean, you can see it in just his losses over the years against Dan Ige, Melky Costa, just lost to Jose Delgado, and a really good performance for him, actually, for Andre Fili. Lost by split decision, but nobody gave him a chance in that fight, and he really gave Delgado a run for his money. This is a tough one because I swear that Oliveira was like minus 200 literally yesterday, so a lot of money must have come in on Oliveira. I think the Oliveira at minus 290, especially at this new weight class, I do think is pretty crazy. But I'm going to expect him to get the win over Andre Fili. Probably a lot of people are going to fade Oliveira here, and it's not a bad fade spot at these odds, to be honest. Like at minus 200, that seemed way more appropriate, but I don't know, man. 3-1, this Fili honestly looks way more attractive from a betting standpoint, but I'm still going to pick Vinicius Oliveira just to get the job done. Because I'm a fan, and I just think that Andre Fili will give him openings. He will make mistakes, and eventually Oliveira will capitalize. I'm going to say either second or third round finish or decision. I guess it's covering a lot of bases there, but this is a hard one to predict. Honestly, I think that Vinicius Oliveira is going to get back to his finishing ways. Give me knockout second or third round. Then to kick off the main card, I believe we've got Andre Lima against Kevin Borjas. Andre Lima, in my opinion, is most well known for being bit in the middle of his fight on the Contender Series, I believe. No, it's his UFC debut, against Igor Severino, who's clearly not in UFC anymore, for literally biting a whole chunk out of his bicep. Since then, he's been a decent prospect and beat Mitch Proposo, Daniel Perez, Felipe Dos Santos. No real big wins. Then he's got Kevin Borjas, who's been used to losing, right? That's why Lima's such a big favorite here. I mean, do I think that Lima has top 15 potential? Maybe. But Borjas is just so used to losing here, I'm going to pick Lima to win. It's just one of those where, Borjas probably doesn't believe in himself anymore. Lima at 11-0 definitely thinks he can go somewhere in the sport. I mean, he's 27 years old. Obviously, 28 and a half on the Borjas side, so very similar age. But yeah, man, give me Lima to win. I just don't think that Borjas believes he can win anymore. Lima probably by decision. Yeah, to me that makes the most sense. Then we've got Bia Mesquita taking on Melissa Mullins. Look, this is one of those fights again. It's supposed to be a squash match. Bia Mesquita is supposedly this BJJ women's just absolute monster. Melissa Mullins is no mess, but she's a mess inside the cage. She's really just not that good. Honestly, I don't even really want to break down this fight that much because everybody's picking Mesquita, and I can't really give you a real argument as to why I think Mullins would upset her here. Do I think that Bia Mesquita is some world beater? Not necessarily, but I guess we'll see if that changes after today. So give me Bia Mesquita to win by submission. Then we've got Mitch Raposo taking on Alan Nascimento. This is an interesting matchup here. We sit up for this one just because, you know, we do have a lot of Raposo believers now, it seems like, in the community after he beat Agzat Amaksum. And, you know, he lost Sumaderji, which Sumaderji is very good. I rate him pretty highly. He lost to him in a close decision. And before that, he had lost to Andre Lima. So a lot of close losses to start off his UFC career. Taking Alan Nascimento, who feels like he's been around for a really long time, but he's just still hanging on to this, like, outside the rankings deal. Like, when is Nascimento going to get a jump up? That's what scares me for now, Alan Nascimento right now. It's like, he's 35 years old. He's on a 4-fight win streak. Why is he fighting Mitch Raposo? Like, does Nascimento not think he's ready? I mean, I would like to know, like, how this fight came to be. It does worry me a bit, and it looks like we've gotten some love over the course of the week on Raposo because Nascimento was a bigger favorite earlier. I'm going to pick Alan Nascimento because I've been burned against him too many times, man. Too many times, meaning against Cody Durden and Jafel Fio. I might have picked him against Durden. I'm not entirely sure, but I know against Fio, I picked Fio, and then Nascimento just destroyed him on the ground. Look, Nascimento doesn't have great wrestling, but he's got elite ground control if it does get there. Mitch Raposo, a wrestler, I do think he's going to kind of just try to put the hands on Nascimento, but look, I'm not buying into the Mitch Raposo here. I'm going to pick Nascimento because all I've seen him do is win in the last 4 years. Granted, he's barely fighting. So, but I like the finishing ability when we get to the ground for Nascimento. Give me submission in, let's say, the second round. I've got a lot of second round finishes, it seems like, but I don't know, man. I'm just going to pick Nascimento here. I really think he gets it done. And then we've got Michael Aswell Jr. against Gaston Bolaños. Look, this is honestly a tragedy that Michael Aswell Jr. is such a big favorite. I was hoping that they were going to put him against somebody that we could get a discount on against after he lost to Luke Riley, because I don't take that loss as like a big deal for Aswell, who has shown that he's a good fighter. Like, I mean, he looked good against Luke Riley for a little bit. He beat a broken hand Lucas Almeida. Lucas Almeida's hand was literally broken before the fight even started, but he was sanctioned in Brazil, so they allowed it to go. I just think that he's kind of scrappy. Like, I like Michael Aswell, and obviously the books are fully expecting him to get a win here against Bolaños, who's moving up in weight, but just hasn't really had any success in the UFC. And beat Aaron Phillips, and then Cortavius Romeos, who I do not believe is in the UFC anymore. So, yeah, dude. I mean, he's like a kickboxer, but he doesn't really have a lot of power. And that was the problem with Aswell Jr. against Luke Riley, is that you started to notice after maybe the first round, once Aswell's pop started to fade just a little bit, Luke Riley was just way more powerful. Way bigger head, way bigger hands. Just, you could just tell he had more sting, and then, you know, he started to just get the better of Aswell. But Aswell showed he was tough. I don't think Aswell's one to quit. Texas kid, he should be a Texas man. I guess he's only 25, but he looks way older than that because of the beard. So, never mind. He can still be the Texas kid. I don't think the Dream Killer is killing any dreams today. Give me Michael Aswell to win. Probably by decision. I think it's most likely, but a KO could be live. But I don't really think that Michael Aswell has like the most power in his hands, so I would definitely go with decision here. Then we've got Leon Shabazian against Levan Chokaheli. From what I understand, we've got a prospect fight here, and I don't really rate these tough enough guys very well. I do like that he has a lot of fights going, but to be honest here, I'm just going to favor the guy kind of from the more Caucasus region who had some Bellator experience to get the job done, and Levan Chokeli. Full transparency too, I haven't really watched these guys fight, so very grain of salt pick, but I'm just going to go with Chokeli because he's a huge favorite, and I like that region better as far as prospects. When with these tough enough guys, like, yeah, I mean, he's beating up guys that are 8-7, 10-8, 14-9, right? Now you're going to take on a real prospect? Come on now. Chokeli to win by knockout. And then we've got lady fight, Kirohosa against Luana Santos. Look, this is one of those fights where, honestly, I really think that Luana Santos should be the favorite. She's the clear A side here. Relatively attractive girl who's got a lot more to kind of look forward to in her career. So, Kirohosa is one of those girls where, like, she has no consequence, right? And, like, we saw that against Aldana, kind of got bullied, beat a woman who I've never even heard of, call me a casual, and then got dominated by Eileen Perez. Eileen Perez is damn good, though, which I knew she was. And then Nora Cornhole, a win. Yeah, man. This is one of those fights where I feel like it's Luana Santos' time. She's been in the UFC for a little bit, and I think this is the win that she needs to really get like a top 5 opponent, and they could potentially push her. Like I say, she can market herself. Um, so yeah, honestly, even though I'm not going to break down this fight too much, I really think this is one of those you just don't overthink. We've got a great odds fight on a younger woman who is the clear A side. I don't think they'd give Santos this matchup if they thought that she was going to lose to Hossa, who, again, Hossa has no danger. What's Hossa going to do? Beat her to like a smudge decision, hold her against the cage? I don't see that, man. Give me Luana Santos to win as a lock of the week. Look, I usually don't like to go with women's lock of the week, but when I saw this fight and I kind of remembered the way that these two fight, and at these odds, I'm going to take a swing at Santos. The community is agreeing because, again, what danger does Hossa offer? Because if Santos can't beat Hossa, bro, she's got no chance ever being anything in the sport. So give me Luana Santos to win as a lock of the week by decision. Then we've got Shane Collins against Oktari Tanzilovi. This is kind of an interesting one because Shane Collins is coming in here with a little bit of hype after a lot of finishes on the regional scene. I liked how he looked at the face-off. He's quite a bit bigger than Tanzilovi, and Tanzilovi lost to Josias Musasa, who really is just not that good, right? So based off of that alone, plus Collins being Hollywood and the American, give me Shane Collins to win this fight by decision. I just think he's going to get it done. Honestly, I could see a knockout, though, now that I say decision, because this is the first bout since UFC Freedom 250, so you know that we need to start it off with a bang. So I'm actually flip to Shane Collins by KO. I just think I like him in this spot against a guy who, when he faced any sort of real guy, he lost. And Musasa is not that good. So, yeah. Pretty quick breakdown this week. I'm going to drop my reaction to the card, and then I'll release a video in the middle of the week that'll be something funny, or we'll cover a topic. So, looking forward to that. As always, MAXIMUS MMA. Please like, comment, subscribe. Lock of the week is going to be Luana Santos here, pretty much minus 110. And yeah, I really like that pick. If she somehow loses, then I would say go in on Kape here. And then my underdog sprinkles are going to be Haider Emil and Kutalaba. I think that one of those two at least is going to win. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.